Dear friends, today we will discuss various aspects of plant protection in organic agriculture. After completing this module, you will be able to learn how diseases and pests can be managed with use of cultural and mechanical practices. It means without use of chemicals, how you can manage various kinds of diseases and pests. Friends, plant protection plays a very important role in agriculture. The incidence of the pest is an indicator of poor health of the plant, and unfortunately it raises due to the application of chemical fertilizer. It has been found that the major cause of incidence of pest insect on the crops are due to the use of chemical fertilizers. These chemical fertilizers makes the plant soft and succulent, which attracts pest, and insect can feed it very high amount and very easily. As you know, in organic farming, the synthetic chemical pesticides are not used to manage any kind of the pest. A variety of plants and the methods has been found to manage these pests. And you must know that there are several kinds of microorganisms. They have the ability to manage these pests and diseases very efficiently. Further, you must remember that all the insects are not pests. Only less than 1% of insects are pests, while 99% means that a large majority of the insects are beneficial to the crop, beneficial to us. Insects, spiders, birds and other organisms are beneficial, and they help us in many natural ways. They protect us from the various natural enemies like pest. It has a definite kind of relationship that is known as the prey and predator relationship. In organic farming, we explore that kind of relationship, as prey is available in the nature and naturally the predator is there. So, in organic farming, prey-predator relationship of the food web is utilized to control the pest. And the theory of organic farming says that every pest, every insect can be destroyed or eaten up by another insect or the organism. So, there are certain common practices are found naturally to manage diseases and the pest. And we are using two kind of method since ages. One is cultural and another one is the mechanical practices. Let's get started with cultural practices. Friends, it has been found that Indian farmers are practicing cultural practices since ages to control the pest. Pest attacks can be minimized by simple adjustment in the crop, sowing, various kind of cultural operations, plant population density, with the control of the microclimate of the soil. These steps make the environment easy and friendly for the unfavorable conditions of the crops. And when the environment makes unfavorable for a particular kind of the insects, it can be easily managed naturally without use of any sophisticated technology. These practices include use of cleaned seeds. We can recommend the use of cleaned seed that should not be infected with any kind of the disease that will control the infestation up to the certain level. And pre-sowing irrigation is very important kind of the mechanism to control the available seeds of weeds in the field. Another one is the summer plowing, and you know that after doing the plowing, especially in the summer, it exposed different kind of the weeds and the eggs available in the soil. And that can be managed in a natural way. When it is plowed by farmers in a summer, that can be destroyed with the heat and it can be easily taken up by the birds and the other available resources in the environment. Another one is the crop rotation that we will discuss in detail, and the trap crops. Trap means it trap a particular kind of insect, that is pest, and it can be killed in a natural way. Another one is a common method is the intercropping, use of a crop between the field and in a segregated way or in a planned way. And next we will discuss a use of resistant varieties of the seed that have very low chances of infestation. And friends, you must know that in local conditions, we have many resistant varieties that are not very having chances of infestation, that are not much susceptible for a different attack of the pest. Let's discuss all these cultural practices one by one. Number one, I am discussing with you use of cleaned seed. That's the term indicated that a clean without infestation, without damage of the seed should be used in farming practices. It is advised to use only certified seeds, which should be free from weed seeds. It should be free from spores of fungal disease. It should be free from any infected grains. It is considered as preventive measure. And friends, this can minimize the problem of weeds as well as the fungus up to the certain level. If we use cleaned seed, neat seed without infestation of any kind of the disease, it will solve the problem of infestation of the field. Especially you must remember the problem of weed and problem of fungus. Next is the pre-sowing irrigation technique. As I told you earlier, it is the mechanism of irrigation before the sowing. It is recommended for flushing the weeds, means that there must be more water. If there will be more water, there is a flush of the water and the field is plowed, then the weeds are destroyed naturally. The tillage operation also destroys the eggs and the larvae of the insects. This irrigation mechanism also helps to control the pest attacks as well as the problem of weed. Number third, cultural practices is a summer plowing. During summer, the field should be plowed by deep plower. It helps to expose eggs and small crawlers living in the soil. And when it is exposed to the sun, it is naturally killed by the strong heat. And when it is exposed to the heat and it is exposed to the environment, the birds and the other animals feed on that. Therefore, the intense heat kills the eggs and it kills the insect that naturally die in the environment. Birds also eat on them. That solves the problem of infestation of the crops in a natural way. Next one, and it is very important, is the crop rotation. As the term rotation is indicating, it is the practice of growing different crops in different seasons in the same field. Means year after year, different crops to avoid the build-up of pest. If the same crop will grow in a field for a long period, it builds up the pest colony. So, when there is a rotation of the crops, it disturbs the habitat of established pest. The pests are specific to the crops and it prefers that particular environment. It prefers that particular crop and a particular microclimate. And when we use crop rotation, it destroys that particular kind of microclimate that makes them to grow flourishly. Further, certain weed species are closely associated with certain kind of crops. They are very much associated to a particular crops. When the crop is changed again and again, then it is the natural way to destroy the habitat of that particular weed. In a natural way, the particular crop may be destroyed by losing the microclimate of the soil. This way, the weed problem can be minimized up to the certain extent. Carefully rotation of a crop year after year belonging to one family to another family is a proven way to solve the problem of weed infestation. It is advised to change the crop over the specific period of time. It can control the pest infection. Let's have a look at certain examples of crop rotation. Here I am putting you a common example of crop rotation which is commonly used by the farmers in organic farming. So, very important and commonly used crop rotation is the rotation of ground nut with maize. It reduces the infestation of white grub attacks. Next common way of rotation crops is a rotation of pigeon pea or chickpea with non-leguminous crop. It is also proved as the common method to solve the infestation of pest, especially with alternation of sorghum. It is a good practice for managing fusarium wilt and to solve the problem of infestation of nematodes. Let's discuss the next type of cultural practices to control the pest, that is trap crops. As the term indicates, it traps a particular kind of insects, particular kind of pest. These practices are mainly based on the approach that pests are very particular to the particular kind of the crop. Pests are strongly attracted to certain plants. When these plants are sown in the main field or along the borders, the pests gather on them, and the trap crop attracts the pest. It provides them a favorable environment. Therefore, it provides protection either by preventing the pest from reaching the main crop or by restricting them to a certain part of the field. And when it is attracted to a certain part of the field, it can be easily managed. It can be easily and economically destroyed. Friends, the best example of trap crop is growing mustard along with cabbage. It helps to control diamond back moth. It helps to control aphids. It helps to control leaf weaver. Now, the next type of cultural practices is intercropping. As the name indicates, the cropping between the crops means the cultivation of two or more crops in combination to the same field at the same time is known as intercropping. It means two or more than two crops in a same field in the same time. Intercropping reduces the insect or mite pest population because of the diversity of the crops grown. When other crops are present in the field, then pests get confused. It takes time to look their own host, and they need more time to find out their favorite plants. It also attracts more beneficial insects. In a natural way, it maintains the bioeconomics of insect and the other organism, especially when flowering crops are induced the cropping system. There are 4 types of intercropping farming approach. Number 1 is mixed intercropping, means the cultivation of 2 or more crops that are randomly distributed rather than grows in a particular row. Number 2, row intercropping. As the name indicates that it involves the cultivation of different crops in an adjacent rows. Number 3 is strip cropping. It is the cultivation of different crops in different strips, means in a alternate strip of uniform width on the same field. Then last one is the relaying intercropping. It is the growing of 2 or more crops on the same field when the planting of the second crops after first one has completed its development. So, the pest may attract to a particular crops and farmers can save the investment over the pest. Next, have a look another kind of the cultural practices, that is the mixed cropping. It is the practice of growing 2 or more crops together on the same piece of land in a one crop season. For example, and it's very common, wheat, gram and mustard are grown as mixed rabi crops in dry region of northern India. It has two advantages. Number one, the loss of soil nitrogen is replenished by gram. It's restored by gram, which fixes atmospheric nitrogen. And secondly, if the wheat crop does not succeed, the farmer gets some return from gram and mustard. Friends, such system of cropping is considered as a promising technique to develop sustainable farming system approach, as it has multifunctional roles and higher productivity. At the first instance, it controls the pest. At the second point, it controls the earning. It helps to enhance the earning of farmers. Next practices is the use of tolerant or resistant varieties. Plants have their own sophisticated mechanism to control it from the pest attack. Majority of traditional varieties are available. They are resistant to many pests. A series of resistant varieties has been investigated from the different regions, and it has been developed for all crops. Selection of resistant or tolerant variety is a very important factor while examining the diversity and intensity of the pest at a particular place. Further, you must understand that there is another one practice, that is manipulation in sowing dates. Changing the dates of sowing or planting can help in avoidance of egg laying period of certain pest. It also facilitates the early maturation of the crop before the outbreak of the pest incidents. Friends, irrigation and flooding can also be used to control soil-borne pest. For example, if the field is infested with termites, flooding the field will help to control them. Similarly, many insects like cutworms, potato tuber moth and root grubs cannot be withstand with flooding and get killed automatically. It also prevents many insects from egg laying because of destruction of their habitat. Friends, now have a look at last cultural practices mechanism, that is the destruction of volunteer plants. A volunteer is a plant that grows on its own rather than being deliberately planted by farmer or gardener. Volunteer often grows from seed that float in the wind, that comes to the field along with the compost, or it is dropped by birds, or any way it mixed up into the compost. The volunteer plants are very attractive to many insects. Their destruction helps to control the pest because they supply food to support the cycle of the pest. Friends, that's all about cultural practices. Now we will discuss the various aspects of mechanical practices. It includes tillage, it includes mowing, it includes cutting, mulching and organic soil coverage. The traditional method like catch and kill for insect pests and cut and burn for diseases are very popular, and are still being practiced by farmers on several crops. There are few important tools approaches employed under the mechanical practices. These approaches do not require any kind of sophisticated instrument or machine to execute them. We will discuss 7 mechanical methods to control the insects pests. They are very easy and economical. Number 1 is the shaking the tea branches. In this method, take a few drops of neem oil in a tub filled with water and keep it under the infected plant. Then shake branches of plant so that insects fall into the tub. The neem oil creates a thin layer on the insect body and eventually kill the insects. It's a very easy to kill the insect, but it is labor intensive. Second mechanical method is hand picking and killing. As the name indicates, picking by hand, and it is the destruction by hand or removal of insect and egg masses, ensures quick and positive control. This method is especially effective with foliage-feeding insects. For the insects, those feeds on leaves like squash bugs, horned worms and bean beetles. Friends, hand picking is the least expensive of all organic or natural control practices, except that it requires labor and it is labor intensive. Next one is the trap insect light. It is the one of the very effective tool to control the pest. It helps in the insect pest management in organic agriculture. As you know, light attracts insect. Naturally, light trap attracts night flying insect. Those fly in nights like moths, beetles, white grubs. It consists of a source of light such as electric bulb, normally for 200 watt, and baffle plates and collecting container. And it is the most efficient light traps. It is used and fitted with mercury vapor lamps. Another one is a sticky trap. They are useful for capturing insects which are active during both day and night. So, it can helps to catch the insect that can fly during day hours and the night hours. The sticky trap consists a cylinder that is covered with a glue-like sticky material like vegetable oil. This is set up on a stick at a crop level or at the suitable height. The insect get trapped when they fly, and when they sit on that particular stick material, they get killed. It's a very easy method to capture insects, to capture pests in a massive amount. Let's have a look to next practice, that is spike thrust method. This is very useful for insects, those bores in trees. These insects make a hole on the trunk and start feeding inside the tree. Therefore, a long needle or wire is inserted into the trunk, and into the hole it kills the insect. Therefore, it is a very effective method to control and manage the stem borer. Next method is tree bending. Bending means turning, as the name indicates. In this method, sticky bands or polythene sheets are used around the trunk to prevent insects and rats climbing to the tree tops. It is very common practice, especially in case of mango trees, to avoid infestation of the mealybugs, and extensively used to prevent rat, especially in coconut trees. Next method is trenching. It is like burrow, it is a dig or a trench well. Some insects like armyworms, red hairy caterpillars and nymphs of grasshopper can be effectively checked by digging trenches, by digging canals around the field. The insects fall into trenches and can be easily killed. And the last one is the tree paste. Friends, in this method, a very simple cow dung is plastered. It is pasted over the tree trunk. It prevents most of the insects which attack the trunk of one tree, like termites, like mealybugs, like borers. The crawling insects are unable to climb due to the smooth surface of the plaster, and also due to a specific kind of odor, a specific kind of a smell that is emitted from the plaster. So, it prevents to going a particular pest to the crop. Let's sum up what you learnt. Friends, you have learnt number 1, cultural and mechanical practices are traditional, easy and economical method to control the pest. Cultural practices, those we are using since ages, includes use of cleaned seed, it includes pre-sowing irrigation, summer plowing, crop rotation, trap crops, intercropping and use of resistant variety of seed. I taught you mechanical practices which is based on the approach catch and kill for insect pest and cut and burn for disease like fungal disease. That includes simple technology, insect traps, tree pasting, tree bending, hand picking and killing of the pest. These methods keep the pest at a level that allows effective, natural and economical biological control. Hence, it doesn't require the use of any chemical. However, they are labor intensive but are very effective in long term. So, for now, that's all. Stay tuned. See you in the next class. Thank you.